2 years. 2 years since I've really ridden my motorcycle. I bought this motorcycle back in 2020, around COVID time, yeah. So I bought it back in 2020, and I rode it a ton. I was really into motorcycles at the time. I started doing motorcycle content. Let's backtrack a little further. Years ago, I started a YouTube channel called Sonny. Well, it had multiple names, but that's what it ended up being at the end. It was my BMX channel. I rode BMX my entire life growing up, and I built a following around there. That's my BMX bike. And so I had made a small following of 50,000 subscribers. And I started doing motorcycle content. Kind of got bored of it a little bit. And so I was making motorcycle content on that BMX channel for a little while. I had, when I first got this bike, and I got flown out to California to ride with Honda at one of their events when they were releasing the Navi. They flew me out to California for this ride event where we basically rode these bikes and vlogged about them. Those videos did well. I got to ride a bunch of other bikes when I was out there. Good experience. Fortunately, when I did that, I came back and it was, I want to say November-ish. So November in Santa Vista, California was like 60s, high 60s, low 70s, literally perfect temperature. I get back home and it's snowing because Michigan. So I wasn't riding. I filmed those few videos. I put them out. I was going to the skate park still. So then I just kind of transitioned back into the BMX. I ended up moving out of my parents' house. And then I just kind of let this bike just kind of sit and collect dust. And I didn't ride it for 2 years because I kept seeing things on the news of people getting in motorcycle accidents, and people around here suck. I lived more in the city, and I just decided it wasn't for me. And so I parked it. And so for a long time, I wasn't riding motorcycles, had no interest in it. I dropped the motorcycle content entirely until about 10 months ago or so. So that brings us to last year. So I built a private ramp on a property for our BMX bikes, and we had ridden all year. We were getting tons of BMX footage. And then it got to the end of the season, and the weather was not very consistent, and it was getting dark significantly sooner, so we just couldn't get out to the property as much, and I was kind of itching to make some content. And so I thought, you know what, why don't we try again to do motorcycle content? So actually, let's back up a little bit. The winter prior, I had actually reached out to a bunch of motorcycle companies because I wanted to get back into the motorcycle scene a little bit. I was wanting to ride my bike a little bit more and getting back into the motorcycle scene. I wanted to start vlogging again, and so I reached out to a bunch of motorcycle companies to try to get a little bit of traction again. You know, I reached out to Honda, who had left me hanging after what I thought was a pretty successful outcome in terms of content. A lot of nothing from some companies, but some companies did reach out to me. One of those companies was Harley-Davidson, and Harley-Davidson was going to send me motorcycles every couple weeks. They'd seen what I'd done at the Honda event, thought the content was great, and they were going to send me out motorcycles pretty regularly for me to do, you know, short-term but more than a first impressions ride reviews on some motorcycles. And that was super exciting. I was super pumped, and was going to get back into the motorcycle stuff heavily. And then what ended up happening was I started doing a little bit more with the BMX stuff at the time. I was trying to get myself back into BMX at the time. I was trying to ride more and get more content for that channel. So I focused a little bit on that, and it was still too cold at the time for me to do anything motorcycle related anyway. So I kind of put a little bit of a pause on it. And then when the time came to do the motorcycle collab, I reached out to Harley and basically got a response that said, we'll let you know if there's anything we can do and this and that. And this was after multiple emails that I had sent to them. And so I lost all motivation. I'm like, this was my one in. I was gonna have some really cool content. And so I just kind of quit. I stopped riding the motorcycle again, and it really killed my motivation, but I was still getting numbers in the BMX side, so I stuck with the BMX for a little while. And then at the end of it, I kind of got a little spark of motivation. I was watching more motorcycle content, and I'm like, man, I really want to get my motorcycle back out. Obviously, this is the worst time. So I had reached out to Macomb Powersports, along with some other dealerships, and I just was asking if I could do some kind of partnership with them. I made YouTube videos, I made motorcycle videos in the past, so I have experience. I have plenty of experience on motorcycles. And so I had reached out to them, and later that week I had gotten a call from Cade, who is now a buddy of mine, and he's like, hey, let me talk to the higher ups and see if this is something they'd be interested in. Let me know kind of what you're thinking. And you know, I appreciate Cade for everything he's done for me. He put a lot of trust in me and is still today putting more trust in me. And so I started going there in November, which is crazy because it was just barely appropriate temperatures to ride. I was going there maybe once or twice a week at the ends of the days that I wasn't working late. Test ride 3 to 4 bikes at a time to do reviews on, and I was just grinding them out, and I had posted a lot of them, and they started doing really good, and so we just kept doing it, and then eventually it led into, well, where we are now. And I won't get too much into that. I got a whole nother video kind of explaining the downfall of the motorcycle stuff on my previous channel. So yeah, that's really what got me back into the motorcycle content and back on my motorcycle, and now I've got a ton of things lined up for the near future. I'm eyeing up some motorcycles right now to purchase. This Ninja's fun, and for a while I refused to upgrade because I have coming from an action sports background, I need some adrenaline, and it's really tough to get adrenaline from things unless they're scary, and I didn't want to put myself on a bike that I needed to go 150 plus on in order to enjoy it or to get that adrenaline fix. Now that I'm older and have kind of matured a bit more, I don't need that. Occasionally it's fun, but I got a lot of things to live for. I do want to get onto the track, and I just want to get a faster bike that I can take on a track, and then next year I want to do some more track riding with a buddy of mine, and then maybe take that a little more serious. But for on-road, I refused to upgrade to something that was any faster because I wasn't responsible enough mentally to keep the bike within a reasonable speed. At the time I was in a very rebellious state of mind, so things like that could get me in trouble. I know on this bike there's just no potential to run on a bike this small. It kept me from getting in more trouble than I did, and I appreciate my younger self for having that awareness and at least thinking ahead about certain things. I think that if I would have gotten a bigger bike at the time when I was in that state of mind where I just didn't care about a lot of things and I didn't have a ton of things going for me, and I think I would have gotten myself in a lot more trouble or seriously hurt. Enjoying being on the bike again and just enjoying going out for rides, I do it with a much more mature mindset, and although I like to go fast, I know there is a time and place for that. And so now we've come back full circle. And so now we've come back full circle to not only wanting to ride more, but wanting to get involved more with the motorcycle community and getting into a career with motorcycles. I'm an artistic person. I like to think I'm an artistic person. I like to do art, and so this gave me that ability to kind of tie the three things together, which is having fun riding motorcycles, having fun making content and entertaining, and being able to be artistic and customize things, because that's one of my favorite things to do. So to be able to do all these things and make money doing it, I couldn't ask for a better situation. Just on the motorcycle. How many views can I get for antagonizing the geese on my motorcycle? Are mean though, they don't give a shit. I f***ing hate geese. So I'm not at my destination, nor do I think I really had a destination to go to. I was just kind of riding around, but I wanted to make some content and basically want to just post my whole story on here. So this is like the start of my beginning to hopefully a much greater story. Yeah, thanks for following along. Subscribe if you want to continue following me on this journey, and yeah, if you're a motorcycle rider, comment what bike you're riding and how long you've been riding for. I'm gonna do a lot more entertaining stuff. Right now I'm just kind of throwing content out there. Yeah, anyways, appreciate the support, and ride safe. We'll see you next time.